Let's record. Grabemos. Let's record. Wow, grabemos. Okay, vale. Bueno, um, we're going to do probably kind of an easier thing because some people probably, because it's such a busy schedule, may have not had time to totally delve into everything with your slide set. No big deal, no pasa nada. Vamos a empezar con
Fácil.
algo fácil, fácil, fácil. Por la mayoría vamos a concentrarnos en como mandatos. We're going to hopefully tie up everything about mandatos because we had a request to learn some more about commands and when they're appropriate to use and how to recognize them. And that's why our video is going to tie it in because the video we had to to for the week had loads of little commands, but we're going to kind of do a review on that in a bit. Pero primero. First, we're going to have kind of a fun, just knowledge for the day video. No tiene nada que ver con mandatos. It has nothing to do with commands. Pero es interesante. It is interesting. Y vamos a ver. El video se trata de la letra ñ. The video is about the letter ñ. Ujú. Una letra del alfabeto español. Y la historia de la ñ. ¿Y por qué tenemos ñ? Why do we have the ñ as a separate letter?
Esto es una N. La N es una letra muy común en las lenguas que vienen del latín. La N
N is very common in languages that come from Latin.
tiene una larga
Y aquí tienes una representación de la la evolución de la letra N. This is all the steps that the letter N went through until it became what we know now in this alphabet because this comes through many, many different languages. Okay,
historia. Pero
it has a long
si
history.
hacemos así, entonces es una ñ.
If we do this, then we get a different letter, la ñ.
Y esa tiene otra historia.
It has a
La
different
ñ
story.
es una letra especial del alfabeto español. Y es
It's a special letter of the
la
Spanish
letra
alphabet.
de Dreaming Spanish.
Yeah. Es la letra que representa el canal. It's the letter that
La
represents the
ñ
channel.
es una letra muy famosa del español. Ñe, 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 Ñe. De
And that's the sound it makes. Ñe, 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 Ñe. Okay.
hecho, está en la palabra español. Pero el español viene del latín. Y en el latín no había ñ.
En latín no había ñ. Here is one word. I know you guys have not, a lot of you have not studied hardcore or even maybe in a cursory way past tense. But this little word había es importante. When we say hay, no hay, there isn't. Yeah. Ustedes reconocen no hay. You recognize no hay. There isn't any or there aren't any. Había is just the past of hay. It's good for you to know just that isolated word without having to study past. Había is the past of hay. No había, there wasn't. Instead of there aren't, there wasn't. Okay, and hay, to make it past, changes into había. Okay, no había ñ. There was no letter ñ in Latin.
En el latín no existía la letra ñ y no existía el sonido ñ.
The sound of the ñ, neither the sound of the ñ nor the letter ñ appeared in Latin.
Pero las lenguas que vienen del latín sí empezaron a usar el sonido ñ.
But languages that come from Latin started to use the sound, not the letter ñ, but the sound that ñ makes. Ña, ña, ña.
Ahora tenían un problema.
They had a problem.
Un problema
The
pequeño.
languages had a problem.
Pequeño. Ñ. Ñe, 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 Ñe. ¿Qué problema? Pues que no tenían una letra para ese sonido.
The languages that came from Latin did not have a letter for this sound.
Así que empezaron a usar dos letras.
So all these languages, and he's showing you a Portuguese flag and an Italian flag, all these languages that all came from Latin started to use a couple of letters to represent the sound of the Spanish ñ, ñ. They started to use a couple of letters to designate that sound, ñ, but it changed in different languages into different representations.
Para ese sonido. Por ejemplo, en el catalán se empezó a usar.
And Catalan is the language that many people use in Barcelona. Okay, and it's kind of it has influences from French from the north and Spanish, para que sepan, so you know, but it is a Latin-based language. So in Catalan, they started to use
NY.
NY. They started to use an NY, the N and the Y together. Most of the languages that came from Latin started to combine two letters to make that ñ sound. In Catalan, it's NY, N and a Y.
En el portugués, NH.
In Portuguese, that sound, ñ, is represented with NH, N and an H together.
Y en el italiano o el francés, GN.
In Italian, in French, it's GN, GN together. Think lasagna. Think lasagna. Yeah, lasagna. Yeah. Okay, so different languages that all came from Latin started to say, to make this ñ sound, we're going to combine these two letters to represent that sound. Okay.
Y en el español, pues en el español se empezaron a utilizar dos Ns.
Spanish at the very beginning, and at the very beginning, I want to say, before the year 1100-ish. Okay. So a double N, it was decided with people who lived in Spain that that was what they were going to use to represent the ñ sound, a double N.
NN. Perfecto.
Perfect.
Todo solucionado.
Everything fixed.
No.
No.
Ahora hay otro problema.
Now there's another problem.
Antiguamente, en el pasado, no había Word ni PDF.
Okay. In the past, there was no Word doc, nor were there PDFs.
Había papel.
There was paper. Here is why ñ happened. ñ happened because of paper. Yes. Well, and ink. Okay. No había. Instead of no hay, there isn't. No había, there wasn't.
Y no había imprenta. Había que escribir todo a mano.
And there was no printer. You had to write everything by hand. Okay. A mano, by hand.
Había personas que escribían a mano.
There were people who wrote by hand, who used to write everything out by hand because there was no printing.
Escribían los libros. Copiaban los libros.
They copied books. And notice, these are all past. They used to copy books. So, you know, this little guy they have, this cartoonish figure, this little guy was a monk. He was a monk. That's who copied books.
Hey, Marilyn, how
See.
can I know, just so this idea of things, a couple of letters being used to be able to tell something's in the past. Can I tell, like the word copiaban I've never seen before. How can I tell that's in the past?
How can you tell that's in the past? You can tell because it's aba.
Okay.
Copiaban. That's how you can tell. Jean, qué buena pregunta. What a good question. Because when you hear words that have an aba, or an ia sound at the end, verbs. When you have verbs with an aba, see, aba or aban. Aban with an N at the end means they instead of one person. It's a they. Or it'll be an ian or an iya. Yeah. So I'll give you another example besides copiaban. Comían, used to eat. Or trabajaban, they used to work. Aba, used to.
Gotcha.
Ia, used to. If those are attached to verb ideas, yeah? So, copiaban, they used to copy. Escribían, they used to write. Even había, there used to be, there were.
Mhm.
Yeah. Estudiaban, they used to study. Okay, so the ñ came about because there were no printers, because there were people who copied books, and this little guy should really be a monk. He should be a little medieval monk. Medieval monks are why this happened, and paper and ink. Yes. Okay. Uh, the, the masses did not read, of course. The only people who read in medieval times were uh, very wealthy people, and you'd have to be like a big landholder, not just somebody who owns a bit of land. You'd have to be a nobleman, a king, a part of the royal entourage, the autocracy, or you had to be in the Catholic Church because they copied Bibles, they copied edicts written by the Pope. Yeah, they did that kind of work. So anybody who worked for the church generally got educated because that was part of their job. They were the printing press before that existed because it didn't exist.
Y eso era, muy cansado.
That was
Pero
really
además
tiring to
era
copy.
caro.
And besides, it was expensive.
Necesitas mucho papel, mucho
You need a
papel.
lot of paper.
Y estas personas no querían gastar dinero.
These people, here's a querían from querer. They didn't want to spend a lot of money on all this printing. It's like if you're at, the people who print too much at work and they say, hey, you're using the printer too much.
No, ellos eran tacaños.
They were cheap. They were cheap.
Tacaños. Ñ. Entonces estas personas pensaban formas de escribir más cortas.
Pensaban, pensar. They were thinking about shorter ways to do all this copying. Shorter ways.
Imagina que estás en Twitter.
Imagine you're on Twitter.
En X.
X.
Y tú quieres escribir un mensaje largo.
And you want to write a
pero
long
solo
message.
Tienes 280 caracteres.
But you've only got 280 characters to use.
¿Qué haces?
What do you do?
Pues lo escribes así.
You write it
¿Entendéis? Hacemos las palabras más cortas.
Pues
con la ñ es parecido.
It's
Una
kind of
manera
like
que
that
tenían
with
estas
an ñ.
personas de hacer los textos más cortos.
They had to make things shorter. They had to save space on the paper and the ink. Mostly on the paper.
Era poner unas letras encima de
A way of saving paper, literally, was to put one letter encima on top of another.
otras. Entonces, cuando hacían el sonido ñ
So when
y
they made
tenían
the
que
sound
escribir
ñ,
NN,
they had to write the ñ like this, because they used the double N to save space on paper. No lie, this is true. This is not a joke. They wrote one N on top of the other N, and you can see what's going to happen here already.
lo que hacían era poner una N encima
They put
de la
one N
otra.
on top of the
Y
other.
así nació la ñ.
And that is how the ñ was born. That is a true story. That is a story my old professor in college told me that. Did you know why we have an ñ? Yeah.
¿Sabíais esta historia?
Did you know that
Podéis dejar
story?
un comentario diciendo
Okay. Y es todo. That's it. That's it. The story of the ñ. The ñ was there. It was a cost-saving process. It was. Okay. Vale. Bien. Adelante, adelante. Bueno, a practicar. Let's practice. A practicar. A practicar. There are many ways to give commands, honestly, in Spanish. There are many, many ways. Okay. And remember, we're just going to take one step back so that we know where we're going so we can practice these commands a little bit more. And we're going to delve into some of the harder issues of commands too, because there are harder issues with commands. Okay. A empezar, to begin. Commands are really, they can't be used for yo. They can be used for nosotros. They're used for nosotros because I'm saying something to a group, but I include myself with the group. That's why we have nosotros commands. It's the let's idea. Let's is a command. You're expressing a desire and you're putting yourself in the group. So commands are given for let's, commands are given to you. Okay, so the reason why commands are difficult in Spanish, one of the reasons is that we have many yous, right? We don't have to deal with the vosotros. And by the way, vosotros gets a totally different class of commands, but that's only used in Spain. So you don't really need to know that on this side of the pond. But there are commands for tú, there are commands for usted, there are commands for ustedes. Now, fortunately, the usted and the ustedes are going to kind of make nice together. They're going to play in the same ballpark. Usted and ustedes are going to do similar things. But, yeah, different things happen with different commands. So, revisar. We're going to review with some of the examples we did last week first, so you've got a basis. Okay, right? Vámonos is the one kind of, vamos and vámonos are kind of the two outliers that they are just what they are for the let's go. Let's go. Let's go, meaning hey, let's go, or literally, let's get out of the place. We have to get out of here. It's either vamos or vámonos. But the thing to know is that a tu a tu command, and mind you, these are commands for go do it. Yeah, you're telling somebody, I want you to do this. And then those are called affirmative commands, affirming because they're saying, yes, go do it. We just drop the S off the tú form. Mira, right? But usted and ustedes, they're going to take, well, ustedes is going to have the N at the end, right? But you're going to take the opposite vowel. So mirar is an AR verb, and it'll be miren, hey, you guys, look, or mire, hey, look, right? Ayudar, ayudar. Ayudas, we just drop the S, right? Ayuda or ayúdame, help me, right? We do attach. We have to attach pronouns to affirmative commands. That's a good thing to know. If you've got a pronoun, like eat it pronoun, help me, listen to me. We have to attach. See, Cindy.
I'm looking at the verb ayudar, and it has ayúdame.
Ayúdame.
Is that ayúdame?
Ayúdame.
But doesn't it have to be an E?
No. Ayúdame is a tú command. The tú command just drops the S off the tú present tense form. Tú keeps the same vowel that you expect. You expect an A sound for an AR verb. You expect an E sound for an ER or IR verb. Two commands that are affirmative, go do it. They keep the same vowel you think you should have.
Okay,
See?
I remember now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And well, that's why we're doing this as a preview.
Just the two.
But usted commands, they use the vowel you think that's not right. Yeah, they use the vowel set from the other categories of verbs.
Yo entiendo.
Bueno, bien. That is what happens, okay? That is what happens. So, apurarse, to hurry up, to hustle, yeah, is apuras for an AR verb would be normal, right? Apuras, te apuras. Well, we have to attach that te to the end. So if you're telling somebody, move your butt, person, move it. It's apúrate, apúrate, apúrate. You drop the S off of apuras and you just slap the te on the end. And by the way, that te normally, when you conjugate a verb, comes in front, doesn't it? Normally it comes in front. This is this is one of the things, it's a command because it's tagged onto the end, right? Apúrate, hurry up, right? Or date prisa. Darse prisa is another way to say hurry up. Date prisa, right? But apúrate is an AR ending, and we're going to use an ending that looks like it should be for an ER or an IR verb for usted commands, for ustedes commands. So, apúrense. Hey, all you people, hurry up. Apúrense. A teacher would say this to other kids if they're lagging around on a field trip. Apúrense, hurry up. Yeah? The kids aren't getting on the bus very fast. They're goofing off. Apúrense, hurry up. Okay? Or apúrese for an usted command, right? Open or closed, open or closed. Abrir is an IR verb. Instead of abres, a tu form, we just get rid of the S at the end to say open. Abre, por favor. Abre, por favor. Abre la ventana, por favor. Abre la puerta, por favor. Okay, bien. But usted commands or ustedes commands are going to take AR type endings. This is not what you expect, right? Abran or abra, right? Bien, okay. For cerrar, cerrar, close. Cierra, cierra la puerta, por favor. Cierra. Instead of cierras with an S at the end, we just cut off the S for tu command. Cierra, right? For ustedes or usted as a command, we say, AR verb, we're going to take E type endings, an ending you would have for an ER or an IR verb. Cierren for ustedes or cierre. Cierrela would just be adding the it, like for a door or a window, right? Ciérrela, close it. Ciérrela, right? If you're
Yeah.
closing a book, ciérrelo, ciérrelo. ¿Sí? Bien. Okay. Vale. So, for go do it commands, you'll often hear a pronoun slapped onto the end. Normally, that pronoun shouldn't be on the end. It should be in front of the verb, but that's how you know it's a command. It's one of the little things, right? And that's what we've got. So, vale, bien. Vale, bien. And we had some other little examples, right? A nosotros command, empezar, empecemos. We use the let's do it commands use opposite vowels, just like usted uses opposite vowels, just like ustedes uses opposite vowels, right? Not empezamos, we are starting, it's a fact, but empecemos, let's start, right? Bien, comamos, let's eat, comamos, okay? Bien, but come, eat, we just take the S off, right? We pop on an opposite vowel for ustedes command, comanlo. We pop on an opposite vowel for an usted command, command, coma. Bien? Okay. So that's our basic info with commands. One thing you should notice, and this happens a lot in the video with the couple complaining at having their small argument. There were a ton of these, which is why we're going to do the little walkthrough so that you notice what they're doing. Vamos a literally can mean we're going to, saying it's a future idea. It can mean that. But vamos a with an infinitive, which is the normal future way of saying this is actually, in fact, going to happen. It's also a way of giving a let's command, right? Instead of empecemos, let's begin, you could say vamos a empezar. Instead of escuchemos, you could hear vamos a escuchar. Instead of bebamos, let's drink. Let's drink ourselves under the table. Bebamos. Right? Vamos a beber. Vamos a beber. So, vamos a does mean, in fact, we're going to do this soon. We haven't done it yet, but it can be a command. How do you know whether it means future or command? You know from the context. You just know from the context. Yeah? Okay. Bien. And sometimes, a lot of times, it's that it's the tone of your voice, quite often, that tells you that, right? Another way of doing a command is doing a plus an infinitive, yeah? A comer can mean let's eat, right? A trabajar can mean let's get to work. A jugar can mean, hey, let's go play. There are just different ways that Spanish has of expressing a let's or idea. Okay? Bien. So be aware there's not just one way of doing that. Do also know, while we do hear commands a lot, sometimes it can be seen as a very pushy thing. And I would say, especially in Mexico, it is seen as kind of a finger wag in some cases, giving a direct command. The Mexican culture in particular it is a very indirect culture. This is a cultural note. But it is important because it is how they feel. Coming off as bossing people around is seen as being very in your face and very impolite. So in a lot of cases, instead of using a command, especially to your loved ones, yeah, a mom will give a command if she's really fed up with her kids. A mom will give a command if she's fed up with her husband. A husband will give a command, an actual honest to goodness command, if he's kind of, he's not in a good mood, he'll give a command. But you know what? Sometimes they see that as just over the line, in your face, and too pushy. So quite often, yeah, you're with your favorite bartender who waits on you all the time, or your favorite waiter that you see every week because you go in the same restaurant all the time. Me da for usted, or me das for tú. Me das una cerveza. Would you give me a beer? Just making it a question is often seen as the more polite way to do that. And this isn't a command at all. It's just turning, it's making a question. Me das una cerveza. If you're with younger people, me das, addressing them as tú, with das, yeah. Me traes pan del súper. Would you bring me some bread from, would you do this? This is seen with your husband or wife as being the nicer, rather than saying, hey, get some bread, because you're going to be at the store. Bring some of this home. Yeah, bring home some veggies, bring home some fruit, bring home some milk, whatever it might be. Me traes. Okay, so that happened. Another thing, another way of giving a command, but super indirect. Everything on this screen is super indirect, not using an actual command, but it has the idea of doing a command, is to use this me podrías. Me podrías is what they call conditional tense. Conditional tense means would you do it? Could you do it? Me podrías plus an infinitive. Me podrías decir dónde está? Could you tell me where something is located? Me podrías decir, could you tell me? This podrías for tú or podría for usted is could you do something? Me podrías decir. Me podrías ayudar. Could you help me? So the magic word is podrías, the could you. Yeah. Could you, which is a conditional form, you don't need to really know that. You just need to know the word podrías. Or if you want to be polite, take the S off the end, and then it'll be an usted form. Podría. Podría, podrías. Could you? And combine it with an infinitive. Me podrías decir. Me podrías. Me podrías. Me podrías. A ver. Yeah, ayudar. Well, okay. Just could you do something for me? Okay. Bien. So there are lots of things with commands, but here's the lowdown, right? A tú command that's affirmative, in most cases, notice it's not all of them, it's most. Perdí mi cámara. Lost my camera. ¿Por qué pasó? In most cases, you just drop the S from the tú form, and usted and ustedes are going to use the opposite vowel. Now, it's important to know that usually that means dropping the O at the end. So we're going to take a look at the more formal rule. We're going to take a look at usted and ustedes commands first, and then we're going to come back to that last slide. Usted and ustedes commands are very consistent. If you're actually going to use an honest to goodness command, yeah, the affirmative, go do it, uses the exact same verb as the exact same verb, the exact same command as don't do it. Commands are either affirmative, go do it, or negative, don't do it, which happens a lot and happens a lot with signs. Yeah. Like some doors, if they're an emergency door, don't open this door, except in an emergency. Yeah. Okay. So for both affirmative, go do it commands and negative, don't do that commands, usted and ustedes always do the same thing. Well, shouldn't that be logical? Well, but I'm telling you, it's not necessarily logical. So here's what happens. We did some simple things, but the one thing to know is that all the usted and ustedes commands, no matter what kind of command it is, if you want to really make sure you get it right, you start with the yo form of the verb, and then you drop off the O at the end for the starting point. That's not the command yet. It's just the starting point. Okay. And the reason for that is that there are a lot of oddball verbs in yo. Okay. So after we start with the yo form and get rid of the O at the end, then we use the opposite verb ending from what you usually do in present tense. So ER and IR verbs get I'm sorry, AR verbs get the E and N endings, like hable, speak, hablen, talk, you guys. Yeah. Okay. ER and IR verbs get A and an endings. Coma, eat, coman, eat, you guys. Or viva, viva is, long live. Okay. So those are just examples. Okay, so now, why is this a big deal to start with a yo form to make a command? To get to the command, we go through the yo present tense form first because that means there's a stem change, meaning an IE or a UE or an I. There's a vowel change in the middle. And if you start with a yo form, you will not forget about the stem change. Like cerrar has that IE stem change in the middle. So if you start with a yo form to get to that command, you won't forget about the stem change. Okay. Also, any oddball verbs that have an odd yo ending, those are going to be used for usted and ustedes commands. So why is that important? Because, well, we've got lots of these things that wind up being very odd in the yo form. Digo. Digo is what the command form for decir. So tell me is going to use this digo first to get to the command, right? Salgo, the yo form for salir, is going to use that go, right? So what happens with these? We get rid of the o from the yo form. And conozco, I just used because, yeah, there aren't that many that do that, but it's going to use the dig with, and decir is an IR verb, so it'll be an a ending, diga, right? Salir is an IR verb, so when we get rid of the o from salgo, it becomes salga. I'm going to show you another one. Muy, muy, muy común, muy común. Venir. Venir, to come, vengo, I'm coming. And if somebody says, hey, come over here, they're going to use that kind of verb. Come over here. Come on. Come on. Uses this verb. It uses vengo. And venir is an IR verb, so it's going to use a endings. So we go from vengo to venga
Venga.
or vengan. And that these two you hear a lot whenever anybody says, hey, come on, they want you to follow along. Venga, vengan. Yeah. But it starts off from the idea of the yo form vengo. And what we need to do is get rid of this o sound first. Okay. So starting with the yo form to get to that command for usted, to get to that command for ustedes is a step you can't skip. You'll always remember that if there's a stem change, it's there. You'll always remember that if it's got an oddball yo form, it's there. And it's got to remain there, yeah, to get to the usted command, to get to the ustedes command. So starting with that yo form means you won't go wrong. You won't forget about this weird G sound. Yeah, for conocer, conozco. You won't forget about this oddball sound. So, okay, bien. That is why that happens. That is why that happens. So let's take a look. Pass me the salt. We're going to have, we're not going to have too many irregulars in here. Pass me the salt. For a tu form, we just dump the S from pasas, and it becomes
Awesome.
pasa. And usually when you say pass this at the Thanksgiving dinner table, you're saying pass it to me, right? So we're going to tag on the little me idea. Pasa,
Pásame.
me. Pásame. Pásame. And if we're writing it in writing form, it's got to have that accent mark. You don't need to know that for speaking, but you do for writing. Pásame. 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 But if you were at a table with people you didn't know, like you're on a cruise and you don't know any, this is the first time you're sitting down with any of these people and you're being super polite, it would be instead opposite
Pasé.
vowel.
Pasé.
Pase. Sí. Páseme. Páseme, por favor. And use always a por favor, right? The por favor with commands, unless it's mom or dad yelling at a kid, is really makes it much more polite and much less in your face kind of idea. Páseme. Or, well, you probably wouldn't say this with ustedes, but if you did, it would be that. Okay, bien. Check your ticket. If you are at the airport, en el aeropuerto, if you're at the airport and they say, "Hey, everybody, check your tickets," whatever, there's a change in the gate you're leaving from or whatever that might be, right? Check your ticket to one person if you're just talking to your spouse or your kid is just a tu command. And tu command will be
Revise.
it'll be
Re-
revisa.
Revisa.
Revisa tu boleto just to your husband or your spouse, yeah, it'll be revisa. But if you're looking at both of your kids, you got two kids with you, it's
Revisen.
Revise.
revisen, yeah. Or if they make an announcement at the boarding gate, they're talking to everybody in the crowd. Revisen sus boletos, por favor. Revisen sus boletos, right? If it's somebody talking just to you at the check-in area, they'll address you as usted. Unless
Revise.
yeah, revise su boleto. Okay, vale, bien. All right. Oh, keep an eye on the turkey. Keep an eye on the turkey. It's Thanksgiving week. And the way they say that, echar means to throw, but this is a very colloquial thing. Keep an eye on is échale un ojo. Throw an eye on it. Meaning you're doing it kind of casually every once in a while. And you only need to use one eye to do it. Isn't that interesting? You only need to use one eye to do it because you're doing other stuff, really. You got more important stuff to do, but you're just keeping an eye on it. So keep an eye on it to your spouse, to your kid, to your friend who's dining with you is
Echarla.
echa.
Hecha.
And it'll just be échale, échale,
Echale.
échale, échale un ojo al pavo. Échale, ¿sí? Bien. I guess if you had a bunch of people in the kitchen, we're going to use opposite vowel. Echar is an AR verb. Echen, ¿sí? Echen.
Eche.
You know what? You're going to hear it mostly to somebody that you know. You're not
Echale.
usually going to, yeah. People you don't know aren't going to be watching your kitchen that much. So you know what? That exists, but you know what? Here's what you need to know. When you're asking somebody to watch whatever pot is boiling, échale un ojo. Keep an eye on it. Okay. Échale. Okay. Let's get out. This is going to be a let's. Uh-oh. We need to start with the yo form.
Salgo.
Salgo, because it's got that funny g thing
yeah.
in there. And we're going to make it a most idea, but it's got to have an opposite vowel.
Salga.
Salga. Salga tu usted. Salgan tu ustedes. For let's do it, it'll be
Salgen.
salgamos.
Salgamos or let us?
Salgamos. Let's get out of here. Yeah. Let's listen. Yeah. Let's listen. And let's look at just the let's, the we.
Escucharle. Escuche.
Escuchamos is we are actually doing it, but let's listen is going to use the opposite vowel.
Charle.
Escuchemos.
Escuchemos.
Escuchemos. ¿Sí? Escuchemos la música. Let's listen to the music. Escuchemos la música. ¿Sí? Escuchemos la música. ¿Sí? Escucha is just to one person you know well, tú, right? To somebody that you're just on the street, you don't know them. Escuche, listen, right? To a bunch of people, escuche.
Yeah.
See? Bien. Okay. So that's what happens. See? Listen. Okay. So, bien. Bien. So, okay, we've got these little rules we've got. Now, there are irregulars for, these are irregulars for usted and ustedes. These are because they're always irregulars, right? If you need an irregular, if you have any of these verbs, they're going to be irregular. But you know what? These two are the most common. The other ones, they exist, but you're not going to hear it that much. Yeah? Okay. This is theoretically possible. This has got an asterisk. Haber is theoretically possible, but it won't be used. Why this is important to know is that you may hear this form from haber in what they call subjunctive, because subjunctive and commands are absolutely linked in how they form their commands. So you may hear haya as a subjunctive, but you will not hear it as a command. It is irrelevant as a command. As a command, it is irrelevant. I mean, we don't use that verb. But sometimes, like a mom will say, be nice to the kids, right? Be nice. Oh, be happy. Be happy. Don't be sad. Yeah. Okay. But you're not going to hear this a lot, but they exist. Yeah. Just, and this saber thing, how can you tell somebody know this? Well, you might, but it's not frequent. So look, these three at the end, they are just they're kind of oddballs. They are kind of oddball things, and you won't really use these three, but they exist in a category as irregulars, okay? And by the way, they spell out the word dishes, D-I-S-H-E-S. They spell out dishes. That's how people like me who had to know this to pass tests, how you remembered which verbs are irregular in commands for usted and ustedes. Notice we're not talking about tú here, yeah? These are irregular forms of commands for usted and ustedes. So here are the two that matter for you. These two, because we use them a lot. You say give a lot, and you say go a lot. All right, so here are the usted or ustedes forms for dar, de, or den. There's the ustedes because it's got an N at the end. Why are these irregulars? Because they don't start with doy. There's no o to chop off the end. Similarly, the ir command for usted is vaya. The ir command for ustedes is vayan. They kind of look like boy, kind of. They have some similar letters, but ir is an IR verb, yeah, and it uses an a at the end. Dar is an AR verb, and it uses an an opposite vowel at the end. So they obey the idea of opposite vowel, de and then, opposite vowel, vaya, vayan, yeah. But they don't start with a yo form. They don't start with the yo form. There is no o
Go.
at the end of the yo form for you to drop. So, all right. The only two you hear a lot and use a lot are ir and dar. So out of that dishes format, all you got to know is dar and ir. Yay, that's all you got to know. Okay. Tu is a big can of worms. Now we're going to open the can of worms. Here's the can of worms. Usted gives commands. Usted commands for go do it and don't go do it are the same always. Ustedes commands for go do it and don't do it are the same always. So they're consistent between go do it and don't do it. Tu is very, very, very weird, odd, and puzzling. I cannot tell you why this happened because I have no idea. Ni idea. I got no clue. Tu commands get two different kinds of verb forms. One verb form is an affirmative tu command, but the verb command is different if it becomes a negative command. Why do they do that? I cannot tell you why. I can only tell you that it happens. Right? Go do it, don't do it. It's the same for usted and ustedes. But go do it, don't do it. It's different for tú. Why? ¿Por qué? No sé. I don't know. All right. So 90% of the time, that tú command that's affirmative is easy because you just drop the S. Yeah. So we're going to look at affirmative commands here, right? Habla, just drop the S. Come, just drop the S. Escribe, just drop the S off the end. Yeah. Most verbs, most for go do it, for tú, obey that idea. Okay. Most. So you're going to see when it doesn't. Negative tú does something entirely different. Negative tú. Negative tú, the verb itself will look different. But the easy thing to remember is that if you know how to do an usted command, you already know how to do a negative tú command. So negative tú obeys the same rules as usted and ustedes, but you bring back the S at the end. Instead of cutting off the S like you did up here, we cut off the S. Habla,
Right.
come. Yeah, you follow what we're saying here, right? We bring back the S.
Pruebas.
But we use the opposite vowel.
Mm.
Right. So it won't be no hablas, it'll be no hables.
No hables.
Yeah. It won't be no comes, it'll be no comas.
Comas.
It won't be no escribes, it'll be no escribas.
Escribas.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Well,
lest you think what an illiterate person that they don't even know how to, they don't know how to say, no, wait a minute, it's escribes. Well, it's a command if they're telling you no escribas, don't write anymore. If mom tells you, don't eat that thing in the fridge because I'm saving it for Thanksgiving, no comas. Yeah. All right. These mean that they are commands. Negative tú, the verb itself, is going to look like the usted command with an S slapped back onto the end. ¿Entiende?
entiende, yes.
See
Sí.
why this is a can of worms? Yeah, but yeah. You may understand, okay, this is the rule. Why did they do that? I can't tell you. I can't even, why did it split off and do two different things? I got no clue. Okay. So that is what happens. Tú is odd and opens the big Pandora's box because tú for go do it uses one verb form. But tú for don't do it uses a different kind of verb form. And tú will kind of follow the usted thing, but it brings the S back. Yeah, see? Bien. Okay, vale. All right, now you saw that for usted and ustedes, these dishes verbs are the irregulars for
Marilyn,
commands.
hey Marilyn, I have a question.
Sí.
So, since the verb change is completely different, do you even have to put no, like no hables, or can you just say
Ah,
hables?
yeah, yes, you do. Yes. That is a very good question. Yes. Even though we've got, yeah, that that no must be there. And
All
that is
right.
not a dumb question. That is a very, very good question. Well, if the verb is changing, shouldn't I? Yeah. The
Yeah,
no
it
must
seems
be
like
there
they
to
would
make it a
be,
negative command. Yes.
seems like you could almost drop the no because they completely changed the way that the verb is.
One could reason that way,
But
but
that's not
one
how
would
it
be
is,
wrong.
right?
Yeah. Because you know what? Language follows rules, but it is not. That does not mean it is logical. They do certain patterns, and it must be accepted. This is the pattern it does. Yeah. And tu commands are totally oddball things. They split off and do two different things. And I don't have a reason to give you for why they do it. So, okay, while usted gets one set of verbs that are irregulars for usted commands or ustedes commands, tú has a totally different set of irregular commands. You see why? This is a can of worms. It's a Pandora's box. All kinds of ugly things that I'm sad to say have to be memorized. But do you have to memorize them? Well, it depends on how much you use them. Actually, the two commands that are affirmative, notice again, Pandora's box. Two commands have one set of verbs that are irregular if they're affirmative, if they are go do it. And the way you teach teenagers this is that every teenage boy knows Vin Diesel. If you're an older female person, you may not care who Vin Diesel is. You might say who's the bald guy, but Vin Diesel, muy popular, es un actor muy popular. En películas de acción, Vin Diesel es muy popular. No teenage boy forgot these because they loved Vin Diesel and they loved the idea of weapons because they're guys and they got the macho thing going. Okay. Vin Diesel has 10 weapons, eh? That's how we would tell people how to remember which commands in the go do it to mode are irregular. Vin Diesel has 10 weapons, eh? Ben Diesel has 10 weapons, eh? Yes, it's a stupid little funny mnemonic device to get a 15-year-old boy to remember in Spanish class his two commands that are irregular. Okay, and these are just the affirmatives, they're not the negatives. So here are the verbs that are irregular for tú. But you know what? This one gets used a lot. If somebody says come along, it's ven, right? If it's usted, it's venga. If it's hey you guys, come along, it's vengan. But for tú, this happens to be irregular. So in other words, that thing of I should just take the tú form, vienes, and cut off the S, that doesn't work for this verb. Yeah? Yeah? Right? Habla, speak. I just take hablas and cut off the S. I can't do this for this verb venir. It's irregular. I need to use this form instead. Ven. Okay? For decir, normally you would think, oh, dices, cut off the S. But that's not the tú command for decir. And often we do tell people, tell me. This is a common command, tell me, right? Di. Tell me becomes dime.
Dime.
Dime. Dime por favor. Dime por favor. Tell me, please. Yeah. Dime, ¿quién es tu amigo? ¿Quién es tu amigo? Dime, ¿quién es tu amigo? Hey, tell me, who's your friend here? Dime. Okay. Dime, ¿a qué hora sales? Tell me, what time are you going out? Dime, ¿a qué hora sales? Bien, okay. And talking about sales, sales and cut off the S does not make it a command for that particular verb. It's just sal. Just sal, right? And notice how short these are. Ven, di, sal. These are all like super short words. Hacer for do it, hazlo. Hazlo, do it. Haz, and it's spelled with a Z. Don't know why. It just is. Haz. Haz. Okay? Haz is hacer. So do or make. Haz. Okay? Tener. Ten. Why would you have to have as a command? Because ten cuidado. Be careful. That's the way they say have care. Ten cuidado. Ten cuidado. Okay? Ir. Ir, if it is tu command is ve. Ve. Go. Ve. Ve al super, por favor. Go to the supermarket, please. Ve al super. See? To tell somebody to put something in a place. If it's a tu command, it's pon. Not pones, take the S off the end. No, it's just pon. Pon, right? And this one, you're not going to use it much. Saber. You tell somebody know it. Nah. You know what? So yes, it exists, but we're not going to practice it because you're not going to use it, right? Ven, di, sal, haz, ten, ve, pons. Okay? Pon. Bien. Ven, di, sal, haz, do it. Ten cuidado, be careful. Ve, go again. And pon, put something in a place. Those are two commands. Those are two commands that are irregular. They are affirmative, go do it, affirmative commands for tu that are irregular. And you got the Vin Diesel guy, okay? The other thing to remember to know is that all pronouns, whether they're reflexive, whether they're object pronouns, whether they refer to a person or a thing, any kind of pronouns you've got with a command. If it's an affirmative command, you do attach pronouns. So, tómalo, take it or drink it or eat it. Tómalo, right? Dime, tell me. Dime, por favor, tell me, please. Siéntate, sit down. That's reflexive, right? So you sit your bottom down. You do it yourself. Siéntate, you do it to that part of your body. You park your keister down there. Okay. Siéntate. That te at the end is a reflexive pronoun. It doesn't matter what kind of pronoun. If you have a pronoun attached to the idea of a command, for an affirmative command, you must slap it onto the end, right? Tómalo, dime, siéntate. A yes command, you do attach. A yes command, you do attach. A no command, you don't attach. A no command, you don't attach. The pronoun has to come back in front of the verb like you learned pronouns do, right? So, a negative command, no lo tomes, don't drink it or don't take it or don't eat it, because tomar can mean consuming something or literally just grabbing it so you have it in your hand, right? No lo tomes, sí? No me digas, don't tell me. Oh, don't tell me, right? The spoiler, don't tell me about the movie. No me digas nada, por favor. Don't tell me. Don't be a spoiler. No te sientes. Oh, don't sit down. We're about to leave anyway. No te sientes. Don't sit down. Okay. Right?
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, bien. Let's think of one other command. A mom often says to kids, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch the stove. Don't, you're in a store. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. No lo toques. No lo toques. From tocar. From tocar. Uy, momentito. Right? Tocar gets an opposite vowel and it just has that Q because it's the spelling thing. Yeah. If I said, if I were to spell it in writing as, this would not be toques from tocar. This would be toses. So we have to do the Q thing, but tocar has a k. Yeah, toques. Okay. So no lo toques, no lo toques. This thing is just a spelling thing. That's all it is. Okay. No lo toques. Don't touch it. Yeah. Don't touch it. Okay? But the lo has to be up front, right? Because it's a negative command. So that's what that does. Bien?
Got
Vale? Okay.
Bien.
Bien. Okay. ¿Hay alguna pregunta? Is there any kind of question? And we're going to see how I'm going to narrate the little couple fight. It's a mini fight. It's not a big blowout fight.
So,
can hear how many
Marilyn,
times-
I have a question.
See,
Yeah, so you just gave us the list of the two affirmative two commands that are irregular.
see.
So if I want to make those negative, do I use the same with a no in front of it?
Negative. Ooh, if they're negative, they're going to look, okay.
Sorry if I asked a hard question.
Negative, they're going to look back. Qué buena pregunta. I need to insert another slide. Yeah, you see why this is a huge, a Pandora's box. It is.
A lot of things to think about.
messy
Right.
things that
I was
you
just trying
remember.
to practice adding no in front of things, and I was looking at that list, and I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
maybe I don't do that.
See. So here's what's going to happen with a negative. Let's look at these in negative.
Sure.
Like, don't put that over there. You never leave your spoon in that place. You'll never find it again if the kid puts it there, whatever. Let's add something here. Poner. No pongas. See? No pongas, no pongas, no pongas la cuchara. Allí. Don't put the spoon over there. No pongas. It goes back to that yo thing. No vengas. No vengas. No vengas a la una. Don't come at 1 o'clock. We're not ready to eat then. Don't come at 1. Ven a las 4. Come at 4. There's a negative command and a do it command, and it's from venir. See? No vengas a la 1. Ven a las 4. Come at 4.
So, Marilyn, those two commands that are irregular in the affirmative are not irregular in the negative.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
These are only the irregular. Let's take a look at us because we often use this to say do it, right? The mom is feeling testy, or the dad is feeling testy with the kid. And they tell the kid, hazlo ahorita. Do it right now. Do it right now. I have lost my patience with you, child. Hazlo ahora. But you tell that kid they're threatening. You know that toddler is going to do something, yeah? And you're trying to, don't you do that. No lo hagas. No lo hagas. Don't you do it. No lo hagas. No lo hagas. Bien. Yeah, sí. Lo más importante, the most important one. Decir. Decir is dime, tell me, right? But don't tell me is no me digas. Yeah. D is that short for the go do it. Tell me. No me digas. Don't tell me. Yeah. For negative tu commands, we do more what we do with usted. And this is why it is a big Pandora's box and why it's like two separate class selections to do it, sessions to do it. See, bien? Okay. Wow. Irregular for
I'm sort of glad there aren't tests in this class.
Yeah. Oh, what a mess. Okay, bien. So now, are you going to remember every single one of these? Probably not. Probably not. But watch for it, listen for it. And this is why this next video is full of nuggets. It is nuggets galore because it's a couple arguing about what they want to do. All right. And there are lots of other nuggets not related to commands, by the way. But there are let's commands and there are other commands, and we're going to see, and they're kind of mixed in with different flavors. So I'm going to do a quick narration so that you see, because the first time you watched this, you probably noticed some of them, but you probably didn't notice all of them. So we're going to, vamos a escuchar.
So Marilyn, is this Carlos and his Italian girlfriend?
This is his Italian girlfriend, see.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gracias.
And he's doing it. Oh, and he's asking her for suggestions on his crossword puzzle. Yeah, a river that runs through, that flows through Rome.
¿Qué pasa por Roma?
Es el Tevere, Juan.
El Tevere,
It's the
el Tevere,
yeah,
claro,
it's the
del
Tiber.
Tevere,
He's helping him with his crossword.
Claro.
Of course.
Ay, me encanta hacer crucigramas.
I love doing crosswords. Yeah, crucigrama is crossword. Me encanta. I love doing crosswords.
Me encanta hacer crucigramas. A ver, ciudad
A ver, let's see.
famosa Toscana, ciudad muy famosa
Oh, a famous Tuscan city.
Toscana.
Hay muchas, Juan.
There are lots, Juan.
Pisa.
Pisa.
And notice in the, this is wrong, Pisa, P-I-S-A, but AI doesn't know how to do that. So AI makes mistakes in the subtitles. Okay.
Pisa, claro. Es muy
Of
fácil,
course.
es muy fácil.
That's so easy.
Pisa. Muy bien.
Very well.
Me encanta. A mí me encanta hacer crucigramas.
I love doing
sobre todo, así. Oye, hacer crucigramas.
Oh, oye is a command. Here's the first command. Oye. Oye is from oír. Listen. Hey, listen. Not escuchar, but oír, to hear. This is often used for listen. Oye is kind of like the equivalent of the English word saying to somebody, hey. When you say hey, it's not really a command, is it? But you're getting somebody's attention. Oye is used to get their attention. It means listen up.
¿Qué te pasa? ¿Estás aburrido?
¿Qué te pasa? What's going on with you? ¿Qué te pasa? What's going on with you? What's happening with you? You're bored.
¿Estás aburrido?
Mucho, estoy muy aburrida, Juan.
I'm very bored.
¿Qué hacemos en casa?
What are we doing at home? ¿Qué hacemos en casa? What are we doing at home?
Es el fin de semana.
A mí me encanta
It's a weekend. Come on.
hacer crucigramas.
I
Hacer
love
A mí me
crucigramas
aburre mucho.
And this is a different nugget. This is not a command nugget. A mí me aburre. It's boring to me. It's boring to me. Just know that this is like gustar. It's pleasing to me. This is the it's boring to me equivalent to me gusta. But on the opposite end, instead of me gusta, me aburre. It bores me.
No
Tenemos
sé.
que salir un poco, Juan.
We
¿Qué
gotta-
hacemos?
Tenemos que salir. We've got to get out. This is kind of a command. We got to get out
En
a little.
casa.
What are we doing at
Y
home?
el fin de semana, yo estoy muy cansado. El fin de semana
I'm very
me gusta
Pero
quedarme en
así te
casa.
cansas más.
But you're just you're just getting more tired
Sí,
doing
es
this.
súper divertido, es muy entretenido esto de hacer crucigramas. Mira,
This is like so entertaining. It's super fun. Doing crosswords is super fun. Look,
en esta
mira, look. Mira, look. Look, in this magazine,
revista no solo hay crucigramas, hay un montón
not only are there crosswords, there are also a
de
ton.
pasatiempos divertidos. El sudoku. ¿Te
Pero
gusta
yo-
el sudoku?
No,
Podemos
Sudoku,
hacer un
all
sudoku.
kinds
Me
of
aburre mucho el
puzzles.
sudoku. Mira, yo quiero salir.
Mira, look. There's the look command again. It's a tu command.
Juan,
I want to
nunca
go
hacemos
out.
nada.
Bueno, ¿y
Siempre-
qué te apetece hacer? A ver, ¿qué te
Va,
apetece?
venga, va.
¿Qué te apetece just means what do you feel like? What appeals to you? Apetece. Te apetece what appeals to you. What do you feel like? What do you feel like doing?
Vamos a dar un paseo, por ejemplo. Yo qué sé.
Pues ¿dónde vas a ir a dar un paseo si está lloviendo? Hace
No
mucho
está
frío.
lloviendo, no está lloviendo.
She wants to go take a walk, maybe.
Está un poco nublado, pero no está lloviendo.
Pero va a
It's not
llover.
raining. It's maybe a little cloudy, but it's not raining.
Seguro que va a llover.
No, yo creo que no. Entonces sí,
Creo que no. I think not. He's sure it's going to rain. She says no. I don't think so. No, creo que no. I think
y
not.
si no te apetece
Maybe you feel like.
dar un paseo, ¿qué te
Take a
parece
walk.
si vamos al cine? ¿Al cine?
Si vamos al cine. It doesn't mean we're actually going to the movies. It's saying let's go. Vamos al cine. Let's go. Here's a let's command. Vamos al cine. Let's go to the movies.
Bueno, allí no llueve.
It doesn't snow.
El
Doesn't rain at the movies.
cine. ¿Para qué ir al cine? ¿Para qué ir al cine
What are we going to the movies for?
si
¿Para qué?
tenemos Netflix y un montón de
Got
canales
Netflix.
en la
Sí,
televisión?
es lo mismo.
We've got a ton of channels.
Oye, ¿por qué no vemos mis vídeos? Yo tengo unos vídeos
Oye, hey, listen. Oye, listen. Listen, why don't we watch all my
muy
videos?
divertidos. Muy divertidos.
¿Otra
Si quieres,
vez?
Podemos ver mis
¿Otra
vídeos.
vez?
Mira, yo te hago una selección de mis vídeos, un maratón de vídeos míos. ¿Qué te parece?
I'll play a marathon of my videos for you. It's just-
Mis vídeos son muy divertidos. A todo el mundo le gustan mis vídeos.
Sí, pero
Excepto a ti.
otra vez no. ¿Cómo?
¿Qué has dicho?
Otra vez ver tus vídeos.
¿Otra vez?
Otra vez.
Pero si la última vez que los vimos fue la semana pasada.
¿Y si vamos a ver una exposición?
Y si vamos, and how about if we? Y si vamos, and how about if? And what about, let's go to an
Por
exposition.
ejemplo,
Uy,
en un
go to a
museo.
Las exposiciones son aburridísimas. A mí no me gusta ir a ver exposiciones. Eso,
¿Te
eso es
aburres?
muy
¿Por qué no te gusta?
Eso es muy aburrido. A mí no me gusta. A mí lo que me gusta es estar en casa contigo, pasar
What I like is being at home with you.
pasar las horas
spending
aquí los dos
time.
juntos,
Pero-
haciendo
hours
algo.
Sí, a mí
por ejemplo.
también, por ejemplo, a mí también me gusta estar contigo,
I like to be with you too.
pero fuera también, ¿no?
Pero fuera, but outside. Pero fuera, outside.
No solo en casa. ¿Y por
Not
qué
here
no
at
vamos al parque?
Al parque.
Let's go. Here's a let's. Vamos al parque. This is that idea. Vamos al parque. Let's
Al
go.
parque a tomar un café en un,
Tomar un café.
en un sitio muy bonito en el parque.
El parque es aburridísimo, está lleno de perros y de niños.
Park is boring. A park is super boring. Aburridísimo, super boring. It's full of dogs and kids.
Niños que gritan.
Kids who yell.
Pero a ti te aburre todo.
Everything bores you.
A mí me basta con estar contigo, me basta con estar contigo y,
It's enough for me to have
y,
you
en
with
fin,
me.
pasar el tiempo a tu lado para mí es suficiente.
Tomamos algo. Vamos fuera, tomamos algo.
Tomamos algo. Yeah. We should drink
Algo.
something.
Ay, no
Go
me
out for
apetece.
something for to drink.
¿Y por qué no vamos con el perro al parque?
Uy, con el perro, pero si
But why don't we go and, these are all let's do it. Yeah. Why don't we take the dog to the park?
el perro, a mí no me gusta ir a pasear con el perro
I
hace
don't like to
caca, hay
walk
que
the dog.
coger la caca del
They poop.
perro, pero eso te parece
Hace caca and they poop.
mejor que hacer el crucigrama y el sudoku y todos
Por
estos
lo-
pasatiempos tan divertidos.
¿Y si vamos a cenar fuera esta
Uy,
noche?
cenar es
Vamos a cenar. Easy, and how about if? Easy, and how about if? Easy, vamos a cenar. Let's go out to eat dinner. Vamos a cenar. It doesn't mean in the future we're actually doing this. This is the nugget of a let's go have dinner out. Let's go. Yeah, vamos a cenar. Let's go out and have dinner.
carísimo, pero tú sabes lo que cuesta
Oh, it's super expensive. Carísimo. It's super expensive.
ir a un restaurante ahora. Cuesta un ojo de la cara, chica.
It costs an eye out of your face. It costs an arm and a leg. An eye out of your face is the equivalent of an arm and a leg. It costs an arm and a leg.
Cuesta un ojo de la cara. Vamos a comer aquí, ¿para qué? ¿Para
Let's just eat here. Vamos a comer aquí. Let's just eat here.
qué salir? ¿Para qué gastar dinero? No tenemos un duro.
Why spend money?
¿Y qué te parece si vamos
We haven't got a penny to our names. No tenemos un duro.
a ver a alguien? ¿A unos amigos?
Let's go see somebody. It's a little vamos a ver. Vamos a ver a alguien. Let's go see somebody, one of our friends.
Oh, a tus amigos, claro, porque yo no tengo amigos. Iríamos a
Your friends, because I don't have any friends,
ver a
right?
tus amigos. Y tus amigos, perdona que te diga, pero tus amigos son muy aburridos.
Perdonar. Forgive me. This is a sorry. Perdona. Sorry that I have to tell you this. Perdona que te diga. This is not a command. This is, but it's formed the same way. It's a subjunctive. Forgive me if I must tell you this, but your friends are a
Son
bore.
muy aburridos. Yo me aburro mucho con tus
Y vamos a...
And me aburro is not, it bores me. Me aburro has the me and the yo form, which means it's reflexive. I get bored. Me aburro is not it bores me. It is I get bored. Me aburro. I get bored.
Vamos a pasear un poco en
Let's go take a walk for a
la
little
playa.
while.
Comida
On the beach.
típica de Nápoles. Comida típica de Nápoles.
Falafel, Juan, yo qué sé, Juan.
Falafel. Pero mira, si no te tomas en serio el
A
crucigrama,
mí esto me aburre mucho, Juan. Y no puedo
pizza,
más.
pizza.
This bores me so much.
¿Te aburres?
Sí.
Te aburres. Are you getting bored? Te aburres. Are you getting bored?
Tengo una idea.
I got an
que te
idea.
va a
Fuera, ¿no?
encantar,
Fuera.
Te va a encantar.
You're gonna love it.
Te va a encantar. Mira,
Te va a encantar.
Quita
You're
esto
gonna
de
love
aquí.
it.
Vamos a...
Mira. Look.
Aquí
necesito-
Quita esto. Quita esto means let's take this off. Let's take this off. And he's moving that. He's got like a tureen, a jar. See? Quita eso. Move that off. Let's take that away. Quitar is to take something away. Let's get rid of this thing.
Quitaos, claro.
Un momento. Escúchame un poco, ¿no? Escúchame un poco.
Oh, escúchame. He's telling her to do something. He's saying, escúchame. Escúchame. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me for just a bit. Just hang on. Listen to me. Hear me out.
A ver. Espera. Tengo una cosa.
Espera. Wait. right?
Que
Wait,
te va a
wait, wait.
encantar, ¿eh? Te va a encantar. ¿Eh?
No me lo creo.
Un rompecabezas.
No me lo creo. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Rompecabezas means break your head, break your head. Break your head is one of the words for puzzles. Puzzles are rompecabezas. You break your head, like trying to figure it out. Rompecabezas. Some people, younger people, like people in their 20s, you sometimes do hear them using the word puzzle, P-U-Z-L-E, puzzle. But rompecabezas is a traditional word for puzzles.
Un rompecabezas.
No me lo creo. No me lo creo.
Es viejísimo,
No,
es
no,
muy
no me
antiguo.
lo
Mira,
creo,
mira qué
esto
casa.
yo.
Mira qué casa. Las montañas. Esto es
¿En
Suiza.
serio, Juan?
Oh,
¿En
me
serio?
encanta.
¿En serio?
En serio, when you, yeah, when you got an argument with someone, en serio, really, really, serio,
A mí me
en
encanta.
serio.
Mira, mira, todo el fin de semana. Todo el fin
All
de semana
weekend.
haciendo este
No, yo no me lo
rompecabezas.
creo.
All weekend
no me lo
doing
creo,
this.
Juan. No, yo no voy a estar en casa.
Mira,
She's like,
mira,
I
mira,
can't
mira.
believe-
Oye, esto me tienes que ayudar, ¿eh?
Oye, hey. But hey is the listen word from oír. Oye is the command for oye, hey, listen.
No.
Quita todo de la mesa, quita.
Yo no
Esto me tienes que ayudar. Oye, hey, listen, you got to help me with this one. Me tienes que ayudar.
creo.
Vamos a quitar esto porque aquí no. Tenemos que hacer este rompecabezas.
Mira, yo voy a salir y tú te quedas en casa haciendo.
I'm going out, you stay here.
¿Pero esto te parece aburrido?
A mí me parece muy aburrido, Juan.
Yes, it seems like a
Cristina,
bore to me.
¿tú sabes la diferencia entre tú y yo?
¿Cuál es?
Que yo
You know the difference between you and me?
Yo me divierto con todo, con
I have
cosas
fun with
sencillas.
everything.
Yo me lo paso bien haciendo
I have fun with simple things.
cosas sencillas, cosas
I have a good time with simple things,
cotidianas.
everyday kind of stuff.
Y tú estás siempre aburrida.
You're
Estás siempre
always-
aburrida. Yo nunca estoy aburrido. Yo nunca
I'm
estoy aburrido
never
porque
bored.
siempre encuentro algo divertido para
I always find something fun to do.
hacer.
Juan, ¿sabes la diferencia entre tú y yo?
know the
Es que
difference
yo a
between you?
veces estoy aburrida, pero tú
Sometimes I am bored,
eres aburrido, tío.
but you are a bore. Eres aburrido is not the same as estar aburrido. Estoy aburrida, I feel bored, but you are a bore. You are boring. Eres aburrido. You are boring.
Eres aburrido. Mira, Juan, ¿sabes qué?
Mira, Juan, look, Juan. You know what?
Tú te quedas aquí en casa con
You stay here home
tu rompecabezas
With your
y yo me voy,
puzzles.
salgo con mis amigas, ¿sabes?
and I'm going out with my girlfriends.
Oye,
Es que eres muy aburrido.
esta
Eres
pi-
muy
You are boring. Eres muy aburrido. You are a snoozer, Juan.
aburrido. Yo me voy, Juan, me voy.
¿Dónde
Me
vas?
voy. I'm getting out of here. Me voy. I'm getting out. Not just voy, I'm going. Me voy. I'm getting out.
Salgo con mis amigas.
I'm going with my friends.
Me voy. Aburrido.
You bore.
Esto yo creo que va aquí. Yo creo que esta va aquí. Este es un buen punto para empezar. Carlos,
This is a good place to start.
Carlos,
Carlos, he's calling his friend. Oh,
Carlos.
Carlos.
Oye, Carlos, mira.
Hey, listen, Carlos. Oye.
Oye, yeah.
Sí, soy yo, Juan. Que, oye,
Yeah, it's
¿qué
fun.
haces esta tarde?
What are you
¿Eh?
doing this afternoon?
¿Por qué, ¿por qué no te vienes aquí? No, Cristina no
Why don't you
está,
come over
Cristina
here?
se ha ido.
No. Christina's not here. She has gone.
Podemos pasar la tarde
It's gone
juntos, ¿no? Había pensado que podíamos
spend the
hacer
week- the afternoon together.
un rompecabezas. Tengo un rompecabezas aquí muy chulo, ¿eh?
Chulo just is like, I've got a really cool puzzle here.
Podemos pasar la tarde haciendo el rompecabezas. ¿Qué te parece?
We can spend the afternoon doing a crossword. Or not crossword,
Aburrido.
puzzle.
¿Quién es
Boring.
aburrido? ¿El rompecabezas o yo?
What's boring, puzzle or me?
Yo también. El rompecabezas es aburrido y yo también.
The puzzle's boring and I am too.
Vale. Bueno, chicos,
Vale is just the okay word in Spain. Vale, okay.
Pues nada, perdona, que nada, pues vale, bueno, pues que te diviertas,
And perdona is a command. Forgive me, yeah.
diviertas. A mí me da igual, yo me lo paso bien solo, a mí no, yo no necesito
A mí me da igual is a way of saying I don't care. It's saying everything is the same to me. Me da igual. It gives me equal. It's a way of saying it's all the same to me. A mí me da igual. All the same to me. All the same to me if I'm just by myself, spending time myself.
a nadie, no necesito a nadie.
No necesito a nadie. I don't need anybody.
No necesito a nadie. Venga, adiós, hasta luego.
Venga. Yeah, come on.
Mira, estos dos van juntos.
Look, these two go together. These two go together. And then he obsesses with how they go together. Okay. Tons of nuggets in there, but lots of little commands. We give little commands to each other all the time. And of course, with a couple situation, it's always through commands if it's a couple.
Right.
Así es. So it is. Okay. Bien.
Bien.
Vale.
Yeah, good.
Bueno. Son las 11. Okay. A ver. I am going to give you for a listening video something a little bit different. It's going to talk about how much it costs to do different stuff when you're traveling. And it's good because it'll have a bunch of number review, some fun things like that in it. Bien. And next week, we're going to cover a couple of topics that some other people had asked for. And one of them is kind of a meaty one. So we will definitely, and the meaty one is reflexives and how to kind of, detect or kind of review what kinds of verbs are reflexives, what things you can typically hear that are reflexive. And you heard one reflexive in that video, and it was aburrirse, to get bored. Right? And that is a reflexive. So we're going to start with that reflexive of aburrirse. And we're going to review some things that you may not think of as reflexives, but they are. So that's what we're going to start off with next week. Things like aburrirse, verbs that are like that they are reflexive, but you may not know ahead of time. We're going to notice what kinds of things are often use a reflexive verb that are kind of common. And the key is it's going to be the idea of English get a certain way. Okay? Bien, perfecto. Okay. Bueno. Bien. Eso es todo. That's it. Eso es todo para hoy. Bien.
Gracias.
Espero que la pasen muy bien, durante el día feriado, for the holiday, if you celebrate it, sí. Que la pasen muy bien. May you have a wonderful time. Have a good time.
Gracias.
Que la pasen
Igual.
muy bien. Sí.
Hasta
Feliz
luego.
acción de
Yeah.
gracias. Feliz día de acción de gracias. Eso es.
Gracias.
Bien,
Gracias.
de nada.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Igualmente.
Fue un placer. Sí.
Happy
Man-